Hi guys and welcome. It's another episode of the Iron Man, the DeAgostini stroke Fanhome Iron Man, and in this video we're going to be doing episodes 7, 8 and 9 because it's all part of the right forearm and elbow. Episode 10, which did come in this lot of parts, will be done separately because that's the right shoulder joint, so I will wait and do that separately with more parts hopefully of the upper arm. So anyway, episode 7, we have 3 parts and 2 packets of screws, BP and DM. DM with a large head, sort of built-in washer screwing into metal, and BP, which is obviously screwing into plastic. We have got a metal forearm, a plastic gauntlet-y endy bit which simply snaps into place like so. And then the tank missile poppy uppy shooty blowy uppy bit. I would have liked to have seen this kind of articulated. I think that would have been really cool if this bit had popped up and the missile, you know, jutted out. I think that would have been a nice feature, but hey, you know, I'm being a little bit picky. So we'll flip that over, and this screws in with the BP screw because it's screwing into plastic here. So through this hole here like so. Use my other screwdriver. This one seems to fit better with the slightly smaller heads. So that's that bit, and that's essentially the bits that you get in this issue. That's all you get there. And the next section is the right elbow joint, which we've already built in a previous issue. This fits in here in this orientation. It will only go in that orientation like so, and this uses the metal screws because you are screwing a metal part onto a metal part. So we now have an elbow joint and a right forearm using the parts that came in issue 7 and the parts from one of the previous issues which made up the elbow. And the next issue is the other side of the forearm. And we're back with the parts for issue 8, so we'll just move the little forearm bit over here and just ignore my finger cuts there. I've been busy working on a watch, putting a watch back together. So we have got the ball joint for the right hand, the swivel part that the ball joint for the right hand fits onto, like so. We have got a rubberized sort of ridged part which forms the wrist section and fits over the ball joint like so. This is slightly offset, so you will probably notice if you look at this, we've got a longer part on this side, shorter part on this side. This one is first fastened together with a single long screw. This one is a JP, and one side is countersunk and one side is not. So obviously the countersink side is where the screw head goes, like that. And then the side, again, if you look at this one has one side slightly longer than the other. The hole is offset, as it were, and that goes on like so. And next up we've got the gauntlet part, which fits with the flat side on the arm, so it fits flush like so. It uses one screw, which is a BP, which is a small countersunk screw, and you are screwing it into plastic through this hole here. Like so. We've got another slight little fingerprint there. That's again, it's going to be hidden. It's on the underside. It's not visible, and I think that's kind of novel. Similar to my my foot shield, the shield on the right foot that arrived. I think that's actually kind of novel. It shows human interaction. It's all good. And as long as it's not visible on the outer part of the model, I don't mind in the slightest. The next thing to do is to fit the wrist joint. And I want to double check and see if there is a preference to how this fits. Right, the shorter bit fits down into here, like so. Okay, and that puts that's right, because the bulk of the hand is the shield on the back of the hand, so that would make the palm sit lower being this way around, which kind of makes sense. So that fits into there like so. The upper part of the forearm then fits on like so, and just make sure this snaps together nicely, which it doesn't seem to be doing, and that does make me wonder if it has the orientation wrong in the diagrams, which it might do. So I'm going to flip that around and put it in the other way and see if that makes a difference. I'll put that in like so. It does indeed. So the directions seem to show that the shorter side goes to the bottom, but these two pieces don't fit together properly. If you do that, it will actually not go. So it's the wrong way around in the instructions, it appears. So the shorter part actually goes to the top of the forearm, the upper part of the forearm, like so. So hopefully you can see there, you've got the slightly longer bit there, the shorter bit there. This is then screwed together with 4 EM screws. So let's get those started. I'm going to use the other screwdriver for these. I feel that it will have a better fit, and it does seem to. And you are of course biting into the metal with these, so it does require a little bit of effort and force to tighten them down, and that's sealed that gap nicely. Yeah, that's good. That looks good. I'm pleased with that. Fantastic. That's good. And as you can see, that gap's sealed up together nicely. So that is the right forearm as we stand at the moment. So the next issue will be the elbow joint cover. So we're back with the elbow joint cover, and this one's very straightforward. There are no screws with this issue because there's nothing to screw together. This is simply a snap and go kind of scenario. So we've got the cover plate for the inner forearm, snaps into place like that. And then we've got the elbow joint, which I'm just going to double check to see which orientation this goes in. And we have got the parts labelled R1 and R2, so they will only go in on their respective sides in a particular order, because there is a small pin and there is a large pin. So they push fit. If I can get that one to go. That one didn't. There we go. Didn't seem to want to go, but that's good. It's okay. It's better a tight fit than a loose fit. And I don't know if you can see there, but you can. There is one hole smaller than the other. They can only go in one orientation. So that is that. And then of course you've got a square hole for the square peg on the elbow. And this fits on, which way around does this fit on now? It fits on with the black lines down towards the forearm, according to the directions. So that pushes onto that square peg like so. Fantastic, we like that. So there we have got, a little bit unhappy with that. The two plastic parts aren't meeting together perfectly there. But that, they're okay on this side, and that's just there. We'll have to have a look at that at a later point. But for now, that's where this bit goes. As you can see, just pops on and off on that peg, and that's the elbow joint. Now, of course, having gotten to this point, it would be wrong to not have a look at how it would look with the hand on, so we're going to have a look at what it would look like with the hand on. And that, I can see, is going to be quite a snap fit, and it is indeed. So let's fire up the repulsor on the palm, and etc. And other cool sort of repulsory noises. So yeah, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed. Join us for the next one. And there is the right forearm and hand. So marvellous. Thumbs up, we like it. One last thing to do before we go, before we call that one done. I'm going to put the arm down there, all the spare screws down there to be addressed. There's a quick preview of the bits that come in in issue 10. There's some nuts and bolts and essentially the components that make the shoulder joint, and some friction pads they're called. They're basically just sticky bits of what look like masking tape. But there we go. One last thing to do before we call that done is a quick flick through the magazine for those that like to see the contents of the magazine. So, issue 7, Demon in a Bottle, Build the Iron Man Mark III Armour, Discover the History of Iron Man, Model 5, the Space Armour, and we've got some cartoony stuff, and we've got some cartoony stuff, and we've got the this is how you put it together stuff. And then we've got some cartoony stuff, the Stane dynasty, obviously that's Obadiah Stane, who we know from the movie, and obviously the guys, the ones of you out there who know the comic book timeline will know more about him from the comic book timelines, I guess. And there's some more kind of cartoony stuff with an odd looking Iron Man armour over here, and a cool looking Iron Man armour here. I quite like that one, that's kind of funky, I like that one. Now that's obviously the space armour then. There we go. So that's issue 7. Issue 8. Iron Man versus Cosmic Powers, 6 Decades of Metal. And Iron Man beating up Hawkeye. And the Avengers having a good old chinwag. And some light beam being creature thing with the Avengers trying to give him a bit of an ass kicking, and 6 soul gems. So obviously these are the soul stones, all to do with, you know, the whole Thanos business that we watched in the movies. And what else do we have? History of a Myth, 6 Decades of Metal, and this is obviously talking about the journey that the Iron Man comics took, and the differences in the suits, I guess. And then the Hydro Armour, so this is obviously an underwater variant, which is kind of funky. There we go. So that's issue 8. And issue 9, I've seen this particular artwork before. I read a Stealth armor, Stark and shield. Oh crikey, what was it now? It was the one from Iron Man 3 with the stuff that lets the people regenerate the body parts and everything. And I did read a comic about that. It was very different to the Iron Man 3 movie, of course, but anyway. Some more comic stuff. Funky scooter, Vespri type thing by the look of it. And the how to build nonsense. And then Stark and Shield, with or without you, some more comic book stuff, and various iterations of Iron Man suits, similarly, by the look of it, to the whole thing in Iron Man 3. Yeah. James Rhodes leads the Iron Men in a cover by Luke McDonnell and Steve Mitchell for Iron Man Volume 1, 174. So there you go. A bit more comic book stuff. Some very cool artwork. I do love comic book art. And some more comic book artwork with Iron Man suits. That, folks, is issue 9. Issue 10, the cover of it looks like that, but we'll look at that when we look at the rest of it. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this particular one. There's what we've built in this one so far. Obviously the hand and the elbow we built previously, but we've added all this bit, so now it all comes together and we have an arm and a hand, and that is really beginning to show the scale of this thing. This thing is going to be big and I like it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.